trick-or-treaters all over town. It's a fun gig. I have a CD with Halloween music on it and I play it through the night. I used to dress up, but it's kind of overkill these days when the kids just want the candy. Get a call to pick up just outside of town. Woman and her son are coming in for some edible loot. Roll up to the house and the lights are off like nobody is home. I record the run on my log and wait. Sure enough, this goblin-looking thing pops up in my window screaming its head off. I jump back from the glass, but it's just the kid. He's maybe 8 years old. He points and laughs as his mom gets in back. He follows from the driver's side passenger door. I got you, I scared you. I laugh and agree. You sure did. She jokingly scolds him for scaring people. I'm cool with whatever. We head into town. They point out the houses. I stop. Both get out and run up to the house and do the trick-or-treat thing. I keep track of the stops. We're about midway of the trek to the one street that everyone goes to. The kid asks me to come along. Mom agrees. What the hell, I need to stretch my legs. We get out at the next few houses. I decide to chat up the mom. She's kinda cute. We finally arrive at the hot spot for Halloween candy. Front Street. There's too many kids and adults to drive down the street. The cops have it blocked off. Mom and son get out. Son taps on my window and asks if I can go. Mom shrugs. I radio to Central that I'm getting out for a bit. I lock up the cab and off we go. This whole place reminds me of an opening to Michael Myers movie. I walk along talking to Mom about life and raising kids. Let's call the kid Junior. Junior does the heavy lifting of this adventure and bum rushes each house for their sugary loot. Mom and I are talking. Kid goes missing. Fuck. I notice it first. Mom starts panicking. Elle knew I should have kept him close. I step up to the last house he was at. They point up the street. I take Mom and we rush up to the next house. He was a few houses ahead, surprisingly. We get to one house, no lights on, no body outside. Kick knock on the door and an old woman answers. She complains about me knocking and says she doesn't do Halloween. She shuts the door in my face and I read him to Mom. No dice, Junior hasn't been here. She pulls out her phone to call 911. I put my hand over it and point toward the backyard of this house. His treat pail is on the ground just before the street lights end. We rush to the back corner of the house. Junior is out back playing around with some other kids. Hey mama. Come meet my friends. Junior waves us over. A little girl, and 2 boys have been out here with him. They're playing on an old tire swing tied to a huge oak tree. It's pretty dark behind this house, but I can make out their faces in the dark and they're having a good time. Mom joins in for a moment before I remind her that this isn't public property. Junior frowns and hugs onto the little girl. I don't wanna go. Mom takes him by the hand and says that his friends can come too until we find their parents. The kids travel with us for a little bit. The 2 boys are dressed up like ninjas, they're a little older than Junior. The girl is dressed up like a witch with no hat. We stay close to them this time. The trick-or-treating ends on this street and we head back to the cab. No sighting for them. The police on the street radio back to dispatch and dispatch reports no missing children. The police on the street radio back to dispatch and dispatch reports no missing children. I sit down with the kids by the police cruiser while the cop takes down their information. The little girl stays close to Junior and the 2 boys pretend to sword fight with their fake ninja swords. Mom makes phone calls to see if her friends recognize them. The old woman from the house steps up to me. She looms over me for a minute before I stand up. She shakes her head disapprovingly and the little girl begins to cry as she stands up and begins walking away. The 2 boys stop fighting and wave goodbye to Junior as they start walking away too. The old woman turns and begins to walk away. The cop gets out of his cruiser and questions her for a minute. They're mine. The old woman growls. She scoffs at the cop's next question and leaves. He follows her and spins her around. She smacks his hand and they exchange some words I can't hear over the exhaust of the cruiser I'm standing by. She shakes her head and walks away from him again. He returns to us adjusting his hat. She's their grandmother, they were supposed to be in bed. I look at my watch. 7 p.m. We've been with them for a couple hours. I explain the situation and he shrugs. So you just let some old lady take 3 kids cause she said she could? Hey, I didn't give you any grief when you lost your kid. Mom and I follow the old lady back to the house. I knock on the door and she answers it. She slams the door this time once she sees it's me. Mom and I decide to give up at that point. Junior however leans over the side of the front porch and waves to the backyard. Mom and I lean over the railing too, but there's nothing but that tree out back. They went home, Mom. Let's go home too. I look at her and she looks at me. The night goes smoothly. Junior takes 2 buckets of candy home with him and is tuckered out. Junior falls asleep in the back. Mom asks me about the house and the kids and I tell her I've never been there before. She calls around on her ride home. She explains that the old lady inherited the house when she was a little girl, and that's all anybody knows about her or the house. I shrug it off. It didn't occur to me until that night when I dropped off a couple of trick-or-drinkers just down the street from that house that Junior wasn't waving to the tree. I still check that house when I'm on Front Street to see if those kids are around. No such luck, to know where they went, but they're not at that house anymore. The old lady is though. (2004) Halloween time. Leaf peepers watching the trees and shit. Roll up in the old Escalade before the piss and shit monster of Murder Mountain ruined it. Pick up a guy King's Gates. Here we go. Stalker got kicked out. Nope. Let's call him Samuel. Samuel is studying under Stephen King, to become a creepomatic writer. We drive off and the guy, maybe in his 30s, throws his briefcase into the back onto his luggage. Something wrong, champ. That guy is like a child. Oh boy. It's like I'm dealing with an 8-year-old. What's wrong with him? Get this, okay, he has to sleep totally covered by the blankets, with only his head poking out. I stare in the mirror for a moment, and nod slowly. Hell, if I had all the nightmare fuel living my brain, I'd probably shrink wrap myself before bed. He has to have night lights in every room, and every hallway. So he's a weirdo. Oh no, it gets worse. Great. Bitch fest all the way to the airport. Did you see the house next to his mossy abandoned looking heap? Yes. He bought that off of the people that owned it after their daughter was raped and murdered. I blink a few times, disbelief lingering in my heart. So, that's odd. He goes on and on about how that little girl came over and gardened with his wife, and pestered him up with this writing. He and his wife would send her home after a while, but she always came back. So she gets kidnapped, raped and murdered. Parents leave town. King buys the place. Get this. He uses it as a haunted house. That's a little sick. I know, right? King uses it as a haunted house for Halloween for a few years. Says it's cause the girl loved Halloween. Weird shit starts happening, right? People get pushed, hear laughing, footsteps. It's a haunted house, it's supposed to do that, right? In July. I nod. Fair enough. So he shuts it down because he's afraid someone will get hurt. He has his office moved so he can look at the house while he works. On rainy days he locks himself in that room, and sits in the window watching the house. It's like he expects her to make faces at him in the window or something. Well, that's a whole new level of fucked up, I reply. That's not even the worst of it. When he gets stressed out, he goes over there and talks to her. Nope, nope, nope. We get to the airport, the guy pays me, and wish him well. Tourists want to see King's house, I tell Central to send another driver. My brain only sees that little girl standing in the window shaking her head. So I just want to note, that on the day that this happened, I also had to dodge a body careening down I-95 in Newport after it fell out of the coroner's truck. Get a call from Central to head down to Augusta Air, bringing hippie chick to hippie encampment just outside of town. Stock up on Pepsi. Take a piss. Headed out of town, Dave? Yep. More hippies headed out to Thathipa camp. Out-of-staters. Too bad they're so pretty. Store clerk and I laugh. Head down to the airport in the Escalade. Darla. Tie-dye babe straight out of a Sunny and Cher music video waltzes up to me. Welcome to Maine sunshine. Hola. She teases and hands me her bags. Yup. Baggage bitch. I load her things and get in the SUV and we head north. So what brings you to this part of Maine? I'm going to Free Meadows to lead a cleansing ceremony. That sounds pretty fun. Men aren't allowed. Not so fun now. She giggles and smacks the back of my seat. Oh, stop it. It's to cleanse the female body. So men don't need cleansing? You're a little too far gone. I nod slowly, feels bad man. We roll up to Free Meadows and a bunch of look-alike hippie women come out of their teepees and cabins. They circle the SUV. Friends. Believers, she replies, opening the door. I get out too, they give me a wide berth and slowly make their way around to her. Everyone hugs. Now kiss.jpg. I close the back gate after unloading her things. Motions for me to come to her teepee. Oh yes. I carry her things there and tuck them into the bag. She's taking her shirt off. Should I go? Does the female form frighten you, David? No, Darla. I'm just polite. Social structures. There is no polite. She slides a tie-dye dress on and kicks her pants off the rest of the way. So, will that be all? She nods and I leave the teepee. She already paid before we left the airport. I get back into the Escalade and head out. I watch in the rear view as they all hug again. Filthy hippies. Later that night I get a call from Central to go back out there. They send me in the regular cab. Darla is sitting by the road. You rang? I asked, rolling down the window. David, please go to town and bring back bottled water. You got it? I return with the water, to find no Darla. I drive down into the encampment and discover a huge bonfire at the south end of the camp. I get out and pop the trunk. Darla steps up behind me. Wickerman shit going on here. She's wearing a stuffed elk's head. Whoa. I jump out of my skin as she comes up behind me. I nearly drop the water as I lean away from her. Good work, David. She hoists 2 water cases out of the back like they're packages of socks and totes them to the fire. I walk behind holding the one case that I can carry. Feels bad, man. One of the women steps in front of me and places her hands on the case. You can't go down there. I nod slowly and she takes the water from me like it's nothing.